Morning everyone. This should hopefully be a fairly simple build. There's not a lot of parts, but it's going to be a little root beer build with a GMT action. There's a lot of people in my village that have got real ones of these, so I've been dying to do this. I mean, it's a bit snide, well, it's more than a bit snide, isn't it? But and it's a bit gauche, and it's not really in the Manta mods ideal. However, it is what it is, and the chuckle is it's going to really piss everybody off that's got a Rolex one in the village. So I'm desperate to get it done. Now there's the case. The bezel's already set. I've bought it set. I bought a face with rose gold surrounds. I've got the rose gold hands, and there's an NH34 movement there, which is the GMT movement. The hands, I'm a bit, I don't really know what to do about that, because I like to have a bit of an odd hand here and there. I'd like to have had an odd GMT hand, but I'm afraid I just don't have one. A red one would be nice for this particular watch, but I haven't got one, so that's a problem, isn't it? The question is do I put like a red second hand in? Should have put something, I can't put anything different in. I can't put some silver hands in. Or indeed black for that matter. Or maybe I could with a black. I'll have a think about that as I go along, but realistically it's just going to be a very vanilla build, so I'll set it up and we'll crack on. So we're set up. I've poured the hands into that little tray there along with the stem. That's the face dial. On the back it's got the 3 lug positions, so we can do 3 o'clock, 3.8 and 4.1. So we're going to whip off the 4.1 and the 3.8s, which are the 2 that are nearest 3 o'clock and 9 o'clock, and leave the outer positions. So let me just do that. I'll do that in front of you. What I'm going to do is move the movement away so that so it doesn't get the bits flying off. I'm also just putting my glasses on to make sure that I cut off the right bits. And there we go. So that's that one and that one, and then that one and that one. Great, I can hear them all falling on the floor, so they've not gone into the movement. That's fantastic news. I'll get my little file and we'll do the bit that you see. Probably a bit too often, frankly. It's not the most interesting bit of TV. Filing down these lugs. They're good. Actually, you can see that this is a brass style, which is great. Brass having much lesser tendency to rust and therefore leave nasty marks on the date wheel, you know, as it gets older. So that's great. I'm going to, in the usual way, just try and clean that off with Rodico as well, so there's no dust left on the dial as we attach it to the to the movement. Don't want the movement getting dusty. So I'll bring the movement back into focus for you. And we'll just have a go at that and see how easy that is to get on. See the wider hole in the dial than normal. The GMT hand has a much wider pinion than the usual hour hand, which accounts for that. So there we are, that's on nicely. The date is centered very nicely, so that's all good. So I'll just do a stop start on the video while I clean up a few bits of dirt with my finger, and then we'll crack on with the hands. Okay, so the video is duly stopped and started. First hand that's going to go on is the GMT hand that we were just talking about. I'll need a pretty wide old pusher for that, which I'll just find. I've got one. That's one that I prepared with a drill for this very practice of putting on a GMT hand. So I'll find my Rodico, pick up the said GMT hand, which doesn't have a, oh it does, it's got a bit of a lip, it's got an underside. So yeah, sometimes they're sort of just checking everything's working. Okay, so I'll turn the time round to midnight when the date flicks over, and then we'll just get on with getting the hands sorted. I'm not going to put the face protector on at this juncture because we should be okay. The other hour hand needs to go on, it doesn't want to go on far onto its pinion. I don't want it touching the face, obviously. It needs to be at least level with the pinion top. My pusher might be a bit wider than the pinion top, so I've just got to be sort of slightly careful as I do that. And it's on the hour, so I can set it to any hour. With it being a GMT, I don't have to go up to 12 o'clock because obviously it's settable as a hand of itself, so I don't have to be at 12 o'clock. What I do have to do though is get it down onto the pinion and nice and get it nice and level as well. That said, these dial markers are that's about perfect, that is. Very happy with that. Yeah, these dial markers are, quite raised, so you can't push it too far down. Got to be really careful that it doesn't go too far down on the pinion and then get too close to the face, so you can't get the hand levers under them if you need to take it off again, and. So I'll just change from my fat to my less fat hole in my hand pusher, and we'll move on to the hour hand, which is of course upside down in the this one does want to go on at 12 o'clock. a fairly robust clank, wasn't it? So it's on very... That's loosened it considerably, so just push it back on. What I don't want to do is move the... I don't want to move the... I don't want to move the GMT hand as I'm doing this. There we go. Let's just line that up nicely so I can push that down a bit. It's misaligned it as I've pushed it on. There we go. All right, so that's down on the... That's great. So the hour and the GMT hand there are pretty cool. What I'll do is I'll just give them a turn actually. Yeah, so that's perfect, isn't it? They've gone the 6. Oh, yeah, that's really good. So yes, it's travelled round half the distance. The GMT hands travel around half the distance of the hour hand. So I'll line that up so it's cock on, and then we'll just push this minute hand on. The second hand of this particular set, I've already noticed, is incredibly fragile. I'm not really looking forward to doing that one. Right, that's... I thought it was pushed on a little bit. Okay, so that is pushed on more than a little bit. And it's pretty straight. So I'll push it on a little bit more. Okay, and now we should have a... That's fabulous, nothing's impeding each other. And it's coming round, it's changing the time, it's changing... That's gone well. That has gone well. I'll just bring that a bit closer to me. Let's see if this can go as well. It's probably going to go somewhere as well. I'm just trying to get my magnifying glass so as I can see this. It's a little bent, so I'm going to straighten it out. God, it's delicate, it's super delicate, this one. No wonder it was a little bent. I mean, it's beyond delicate. It's, you know, some of these second hands are actually quite robust, but this one is not. I can tell you. Might be on. No, it's not. No. I think what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to plug my light in to be able to get to this, to to be able to see it properly. So there we go. Put that light on. It's a little bit dark in here otherwise. I've got that then. Oh. She's upside down. I don't really want to do this on the face of the watch. So there comes a point with messing about that, you know, it's likely that one's going to start scratching stuff. So I'll just put this face protector over while I mess about with this second hand. And what I've got to do is try and, there we go, try and get the Rodico on the top of it. I'll press that on quite hard. Aye. Aye. I can sort of see the pinion. Ah, look at that. I think that's on. But what it has done, you know, is it's kind of bent the back of the... You won't be able to see that terribly well, but the back of the second hand is just depressed by about, you know, I can sort of see it. You wouldn't see it once you've got the thing on, but I am going to lift it because I don't like that. Once you got it in the case, you wouldn't really necessarily see any of that. There we are, that's straight. The front of the second hand's pretty straight. If anything, the whole lot's leaning a little, but that's okay. So let's, oh, didn't want to do that. Let's put that in. She's going. She is going. That's marvellous. So I'll whip her over and I'll take the stem out. I'm unscrewing the crown from the case as we speak. Over here we've got the stem, so we'll put that in loosely, hopefully without threading it. Yeah, that's in. You'll be able to see the lever for the crown removal. I'm going to put the crown in. I'm going to put this crown in and make sure everything actually works before. Okay, so that's winding. That's the first. That's the first thing. Oh yeah, so that's working nicely. And then that's working very nicely too. Happy with that? Okay. So I'll turn that back over, pop it in here, push it back in, which exposes the lever. the lever's never exposed when it's pulled out. Take that out, we'll get, you know, Manuel quite well already anyway, so I'll not bore you with that. And then we'll check the face. We're not going to rush about. I've got my air canister, and I'm going to do the outer face and then the inner face. Make sure we're completely clean. We've got a see-through back on this one as well. It looks like we're actually, unless there's a film on this glass. No, there isn't. So actually the glass is quite dirty in the case, so I mean, I've got to take the back off and what have you anyway, but I'll stop there. I'll come back to you in a second. So I've cleaned the case. I just need to clean the face as well. There's one or two bits of stray muck on it. That's what happens when you handle stuff like that. Yep, quite pleased with that. Looks fine. There's nothing on the dial dots that I can see, so it's just a case of offering this up to the case now, which I think we'll just do like that this time. Don't normally do this, but this watch is going to be only for me, really. Doesn't matter that much. I'm doing it with my fingers. So I'll just put that there. Make sure that you can see that by having a look in the top of my iPhone, which you can. And then just very lightly put my finger on the back of the just on the rotor screw, so I'm not challenging anything particularly. Would suggest it's a little bit twisted, wouldn't it? No, maybe not. Maybe not. It's not quite. The stem as it's going in there is not quite in the absolute centre of the crown hole. It is now. I think it's all over. It is now. Push that down. Just push this plastic rim down so that the movement's absolutely against the crown. I'll drop Mr. Gasket in and just put the back on loosely while I proceed to fuck about with the crown. So just checking that everything's fine. I'm not sure how you're doing for reflection there, so maybe off this light. So turn that off. Give you the actual light. I'm liking the Cyclops. That's giving a big number in there, isn't it? So unwinding, that's good. Anti-clockwise. moves the hour thing, which one could get worried about, but in actual fact I'm not worried because it's past the hour now, isn't it? So that's fine. And then in the anti-clockwise direction it's changing the date, and then of course we're going to change the hour. Oh God, the hour. The second hour is just minusculely off, isn't it? Which is... So is the hour hand, to be absolutely honest. Oh no, it's not. That was an optical illusion. That's absolutely caucus on us, isn't it? Let's just go to 12 o'clock. 1 o'clock in that. Oh God, do you know, I'm not that bothered. That's fine. It's only for me anyway, so it's not the end of the world. Let's see how the bears lines up to the marker. Oh, pretty good. That's pretty good. That lines up to the dial nicely. So yeah, I mean, it's all in keeping, isn't it? It's very nice actually, that. So I think the only thing that's really left to do is to cut the stem and then put it on because the strap's on. But yeah, so I'll cut the stem and then I'll just grease the gasket and tighten her up, and I'll stick it on. But it's stem cutting time, isn't it, first? So which means it's stem measuring time, in fact. That stem looks enormously long. I think we're going to be taking a fair chunk off that, by the looks of things. So it'll be, it's a, you know, it's a bendy one. The that's the 6. 6 is a bit standard, I have to say. 6 is a bit standard. So whip her over. Take the back off. I'm going to reach over, get my gasket grease. So these gaskets fall out at a rate of knots when you don't want them to, and then the minute obviously you do, they tell you they're stiff and set in their ways. Just making sure that you can see what I'm doing there, and press that in, take that crown out, put my little friend out of the way for a second while we undo the crown from the stem, get ourselves a piece of stem cut. I'm just going to try this by eye to start with, because kind of got a fair idea of what 0.6 looks like by now, funnily enough. And that wasn't a bad stab. I was about 1 millimetre short. So we'll have another go. See if you can see that. That's spot on for 0.6. So I'm just going to take our friend the pliers, put them in, put the stem in. You can hear it, but you can't see it. That's cut off at exactly the right spot. I take my file and move that out of the way, and I'm just going to rub that round just to dome it slightly. Doesn't need much. Just want any little burrs that are going to stop the stem going into the crown at the right okay, a little bit of stem glue. Yeah, any burrs that are, you know, are potentially going to sort of try and thread it, and then we'll put it on. Once we've got it 3 or 4 twists inside, then I can grip it with a pair of pliers and make sure it's, you know, considerably down the stem. But I want this to not, I want it to start easily. I don't want it to start in a difficult manner, and it's not. Oh, that's more like it. You can just see when it goes in nicely. All right, that's the end of it. That's the end of its reign. So I'll pop that back in and just make sure that it's good. And what you're trying to achieve is winding the watch in its most inward position without it screwing onto the crown. But of course, as soon as you use the little bit of press that there is in the crown itself, it'll go tight up against the watch case. So that's perfection in measuring terms. And we're about, well, let's get the case back on and tighten that up real finger tight. That's great. And then I'm going to whip my watch off, and I'm going to whip this one on. It's not got a, oh, it's shitting Nora. You know what, I've forgotten, don't you? It's lucky I just knocked the top off the gasket grease. Up until that moment, that was the smoothest build ever. There's almost been no, it's taken 25 minutes that, which is a new world record as far as I'm concerned. So I'm going to put that on my wrist and come back to you in 2 seconds. Welcome back. There she is on the wrist. That looks pretty cool. Quite pleased with that. Yeah, that'll do very nicely. I'll take a few photos and these will go on the site with everything else. See you later.